Right, so in this video, we're going to look at solving proportion. So just what we've been doing in class with my grade 8 by using the cross product method. So this first question, so we've already did this in class, but I will go over it again. So we've been using the cross product method. So when we have two things that are proportional, if you literally use the cross product method and multiply, they will equal each other. So what we do is, if I start with the 18 and the y plus 4, we do 18. Because y plus 4 is an expression, I'm going to put that in a bracket, just so it reminds me that I have to multiply by 18. And that equals 27 multiply 14. 27 multiply 14. Then I'm going to expand this bracket. So 18 times y is 18y, and then 18 times 4, if you're not sure, always double check by multiplying them. So 4 times by 8 is 32, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, so plus 72 equals, and again if you're unsure, multiply them together, 27 times 14, but if you do it right, you are left with 378. Then we're going to subtract 72 from both sides, and you're left with 18y equals 306. Then divide both sides by 18, and you're left with 306 divided by 18 is 17. If you're not sure about how to divide, maybe write it as a fraction and then simplify. So I can divide both of them by 2. So this becomes 9 at the bottom. And at the top, this becomes 153. And that might be a lot easier to divide whether you do long division. So we've done that in class. So let's have a go at one more. So we've got this time, there's variables on both sides, but we're going to use exactly the same method. So 12, and that's telling me to multiply by 2b plus 14. And I'm going to multiply by that 8 and 1 minus 2b. So I'm going to expand the brackets on both sides. So 12 times 2b is 24b plus 12 times by 14. Again, unsure, make sure you multiply them together and you should get 168. 8 times 1 is 8 minus 8 times, and this negative has to stay there, so it's 16b. Right, first, what should I do? I'm going to add 16 to both sides, 16b. So 24, add 16b is going to give me 40. Then I'm going to subtract 168 from both sides, and I'm left with 40b equals negative 160. Divide both sides by 40, and x equals, because we have a negative and a positive, I know my answer is negative, because 1 is negative, 1 is positive, cross 0 off, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So your answer is negative 4. So that's going over what we did in the class using cross product. And now you're going to go and try some questions. So if I was you, maybe pause the video, go and try some of the questions that I've written on the end of this video, which is question, if I read them out, 58 to 66 on page 100 and 115. What we're going to have a look at now is using this method with real life problems. So there's many ways to answer questions like this in algebra and forming and solving equations and percentages, but I'm going to try and stick to this method so we don't get confused. Right, so in this question, we have Holly has travelled 320 miles in 5 hours. Okay, so they have gave me some information. At this rate, how far will Holly travel in 7 hours? So again, I need to get a fraction that is proportional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, 320 miles travelled in 5 hours. That has to equal the same as a distance, which I don't know, but I travelled in 7 hours. So that is the equation, okay? So now I'm going to do cross product. So I'm just going to use the numbers. So first, 7 multiply 320 has to be the same as 5 times x, which we can write as 5x. So they are proportional with one another. So if I multiply it, I'm going to have to go over here. 7 times 320 is 2,240. And that equals 5x. So the last step is divide both sides by 5. And x equals 448. So in this question, x represented how far would Holly travel in 7 hours? Well, the answer is 448 miles. So next question, similar. So this time we have a car uses 5 gallons of gas to travel 97.5 miles. If it's the same rate, so at this rate, how many miles will be travelled using 13 gallons of gas? Okay, so I'm going to say, well, I travelled 97.5 on 5 gallons. And I want to work out how far am I going to go if it was actually 13 gallons. So if you just make sure the units or the denominators are the same, so I'm talking about the same thing, gasoline, so in this question, it was the hours, then I can use cross product. So I'm going to cross product. So it's 13 multiply 97.5 is the same as 5 times x. So 5x equals, I'm going to write at the top, 13 times 97.5, which is 1,267.5. Divide both sides by 5, and you get x equals 253.5. So 253.5. So 13 gallons of gas will get me 253.5 miles. Okay, so we're using the same method as we did earlier, but this time it's a real life question. Right, so again, you're going to go and try some questions on this. You're going to try question 37, 38, and 39 on page 114. And now we're going to do one more example. So a little bit harder, these questions. Again, there's many ways to answer this question, but I'm just going to pick a certain way that I think might be a little bit easier. So the first question, a landscaper needs to mix oil with gas to run a tractor. Okay, so we're mixing here oil with gas in a tractor. Then it asks how much oil will we need to add to 2 gallons of gas to make a solution that is 2.5% oil. So it's telling us how much gas we need, but it's telling us the percentage of oil. So that means we all know that percentage is out of 100%. Okay, so over here, well, if this is for oil, if I subtract that percentage, I get 97.5%. So that means that this 2 gallons here represents 97.5%. And the question wants me to work out using this, well, how much oil is that in terms of percentage? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I know that 97.5% is out of 100. That's the percentage. That has to equal, in this case, 2. And I'm trying to work out how much of the mixture is there, how much gallons of the mixture with the oil and the gas is there. So once I've done that, now I can do cross product. And we're going to get 97.5x equals 200. Divide by 97.5, divide by 97.5, and I get x equals 2.05128. So I know that 2 gallons is for the gas. So whatever's left over, so subtract the 2 for the gas, that's how much we need of the oil. Yeah, so I have just worked out what 2.5% of the whole of the mixture is. The question says round to the nearest tenth, 100, sorry. So that is this column here. So the 1 we would round down, so my answer is 0.5. Right, I'm going to do the same with this question at the bottom. So during the season, each football team plays 162 games. In 2020 season, the Toffees had a winning percentage of 46.3%. How many games did the Toffees win in 2020? So this one, you don't actually have to work out what they lost or anything. They gave you the percentage straight away. So if we're going to use cross product, I can simply just say 46.3 out of 100. That's what they won in terms of percentage. But in terms of the games, I know that they played 162 games in total. So that's what represents 100%. I'm trying to work out how many was this actually? How many games did they win? What was 46.3%? So we can use cross product for this. So cross product. So I get 100x, 100 times x equals 46.3 times by 162. And we get 7,500.6. So if I divide both sides by 100, we're going to have x equals 75.006. The question has said, how many games did they win? Well, they can't win point of a game, so they actually win 75 games. Okay, so there's 2 different types of questions there. So the first question, the information they gave me helped me work out how much we had all together, so how much mixture we had, but I had to subtract the gas to work out how much oil we needed. The second question, they told me the percentage straight away, so I could just work out from the information that they won 75 games. Now that we've done that video, go and try some of these questions. So it's on page 114 and 115. It's in the textbook. They're the questions that I want you to complete.